about pushing the boundaries, questioning our society, our stances on social issues, race, sex, violence. And every so once in a while, in musical theater, we get some really edgy, some really controversial musicals that with their mature content question our very society today. Musicals like Spring Awakening and American Idiot. Today, this video is going to look at a more recent, very much more controversial musical being based from the creators of South Park. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for the Book of Mormon.
Unfortunately, I went to see the show in New York City. I wasted my moolah. Chris Baker's review is very accurate. This show is vulgar, offensive, and ugly. The actors are talented. I did take offense to Chris's statement that the show is not for pearl clutchers or do-gooders. I would hope most people in this world are do-gooders. I would rather he said that this show is for people with no class. What is wrong with this show is that they advertise it as the best musical of all time. Seriously? Relating the words ugly, vulgar, and offensive to the best musical of all time is scary for this world. Has anyone even seen Les Miserables or Phantom of the Opera?
At Vinny the Pooh. Ah yes, Les Miserables, the sweet musical full of death, injustice, sexual politics, and deviance. And Phantom of the Opera, the heartwarming tale of a disfigured monster who openly garrots bodies and hangs them from the rafters. Both delightful, heartwarming, and classy family affairs.
At Bryant Grumble. Wow, Bryant, did you forget to take your happy pills this am?
At Winnie the Pooh, at Bryant Grumble. He's just confused by what is acceptable to classy do-gooders. Okay, sexual politics, deviance, and openly garroting bodies and hanging them from rafters. Not okay, vulgar, offensive, and ugly.
Pathetic. Just pathetic. And it shows how classy our society has become. Is this what passes for thoughtful these days?
At Serguy1000. So clearly you haven't seen the show.
At Random Guy. Nor do I need to see or want to see the denigration of others' beliefs. For some reason, I don't find that particularly funny. Rather snarky and nasty. You can try and clothe it in happy music and funny lines, but its remains are rather nasty. But I hope you enjoy it. But don't save a seat for me.
Well, that was quite an exchange.
But Random Guy is right. You should at least freaking see a show before you review it.
Language.
At SiriGuy1000, at Random Guy. That's an interesting take, seeing as you have no idea what you're talking about. The musical, which I have seen and will see again, is not anti-Mormon or anti-faith of any kind. In the end, it's a story about two men coming to terms with their faith, learning in front of the audience that faith may not be what you thought it was, but it can be real nonetheless. Yes, there's some profanity, and yes, there's some vulgar content, but the core of the story is really about self-discovery, and in that finding you can have the strength to be you, and not what society expects from you. In fact, one of the last lines of the musical is thank you, God. Even the Church of Mormon was not overly offended by the message. In fact, after seeing the musical, I believe they were quoted saying, it was good, but the book is better. I'm clearly not going to convince you of seeing it. All I'm hoping is that maybe you might consider that this is more than just a gaudy juvenile smut piece with nothing offensive. It is in fact a solid, legit musical.
Managing to create such a stir around such an inferior show, I myself am an actress and comedian, yeah. So I did appreciate when they were trying to do, but if I could ask for my money back, I would. The story was weak, the jokes old and cliche, the singing from one of the female characters at time was real. Shock value doesn't equal funny, especially when you've heard all of the jokes so many times before. Those jokes are then sung out the entire songs, which do nothing to move along the plot or develop characters as all musicians should. Otherwise, why make it a musical? If they were hoping to parody the genre, they need not follow some rules. The characters were so one-dimensional that I can't even name them after the show. I have never left a show more bemused or out of love with the theater. when somebody can write a genuinely edgy, satirical, and importantly, funny comedy that actually has something to say, I will be all ears. Just a tad condescending.
Oh my god, who made you the king of what's funny and what's not? Hey, you know what's funny in Frozen?
Anthony, it's not your video yet.
I saw this musical and loved it. I am a Christian, and what I saw was a movie that was satirical, but also thought-provoking. It was a sweet musical, yes, and offensive, but it had a great message and a biblical one as well. 1 Corinthians 1:18. The message of the cross is foolish for those who are headed for destruction, but we who are being saved notice the very power of God. The musical is a warning of what can happen to religion in put in the hands of those like the sidekick Arnold. Didn't really read it, but then is forced to evangelize anyway with hilariously disastrous results. Later, when everything looks dark, the main character Kevin says something like, "No, you gave them hope, and that's a great thing." Faith gives people hope, which gives them strength, which allows them to overcome terrible things. If you have no hope, what do you have to live for? Faith is of God, but men have done terrible things to Christianity, Mormonism, Islam, etc., turning them from their original intent to something screwy used to control, discipline, and motivate to earthly, not godly ends. As a Christian, the main emphasis of our faith is grace, and I think this musical brilliantly illustrates it.
An interesting way of looking at the message of the play. What made it so sweet, though?
But it's important to know that religion can be damaging to those who follow it blindly.
Most stupid and overrated show in the universe. What the F?
Wait, that's it?
Get to the chase. Pros: 1. Absolutely hilarious. 2. Very well produced and outstanding cast. 3. Great seating pretty much anywhere because the actors work that stage as pros. 4. Oh hell yes they went there. And yes, they just said that, is what you'll be saying by the end of it. 5. A production that has a lot of oomph and sticks it to PC America by having a comedy routine where nothing is off limits. Cons: 1. That those who are sensitive, especially around religion, they get seriously offended they go over some touchy subjects. But remember, it's all in good fun. Though it borders on the lines of someone making fun of Chernobyl, 9/11, or some other national atrocity. 2. Bring a coat just in case. It can get a bit nippy in there.
Nice and balanced. We just need to hear more about the production.
It's true that not all the numbers pack in the lyrical jokes, but often the humor is more implicit. Most of the numbers, sometimes beat for beat, are direct parodies of other songs in the musical theater canon. As an audience member, you're rewarded for being the awkward teen who stayed in on weekends listening to his Wicked album. But sometimes it's not totally clear if the intent was to parody specific songs or to simply satirize and celebrate the classic Broadway musical as a genre. Which, as we know, and often still is, very formulaic. I say this because even though I don't feel like I caught every reference, which is a testament to the creator's very particular curated repertoire of cultural touchstones. In this way, there's a real sophistication to the humor here, beneath the cursing, which is used smartly. I should add that there is a rich intertext that resonates differently, but profoundly, with people of a wide array of artistic and cultural experiences and preferences. This is what theater should be about.
Love it! Love the influence of culture on the piece! I'm Mormon, and I want to watch this musical. I love these things. South Park is one of my favorite cartoon shows ever, especially the Mormon episode. I personally never get mad at all.
Mike G9519. I saw this musical about a month ago and had no interest in LDS beforehand. Today I got baptized.
Oh my god, we've got another convert!
Amazing how art can be a catalyst for change.
Hilarious. Surprisingly factual. Although there are inaccuracies, I was surprised at how close they stuck to reality. I don't often see live theater, so I'm not sure how to review it, except to tell you that I enjoyed literally the entire show from start to finish. It is exceptionally well done, and if all theaters like this, then I intend to become cultured.
Pure insult to one's fellow man.
You're pure insult to theater.
Alex. Oh my god, Kitty!